The story of the Mothman begins in the quiet river town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, during the chilly month of November 1966. This was a place where life moved at a modest pace, where neighbors knew one another, and where the greatest concerns were usually local gossip, the latest high school football game, or the ebb and flow of the Ohio River that cut past the town. It was not a place where one would expect to encounter a legend. Yet, on one unforgettable night, 4 ordinary young people found themselves staring into the eyes of something they could neither explain nor forget. On November 15th, 1966, 2 married couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, were driving together near the edge of town. Their route took them toward an abandoned World War II munitions facility, known locally as the TNT area. This region, littered with decaying concrete bunkers, overgrown trees, and dark tunnels, already carried a sinister atmosphere. It was the kind of place where teenagers would dare each other to spend the night, where the silence itself seemed to hold secrets. What they saw that night, however, went beyond any ghost story whispered at school or campfires. As they drove along the lonely road, their headlights caught something strange. Standing near the edge of the forest was a figure, tall and human-shaped, yet wholly unnatural. Its wings, massive and insect-like, stretched outward nearly 10 feet across. Most disturbing of all were its eyes, 2 glowing red orbs that shone even through the dark. The creature moved in a way that seemed both graceful and terrifying, as though it were neither bird nor man, but some impossible fusion of the two. Terrified, the couples sped away, but the nightmare followed them. For miles, they swore the winged figure pursued their car, flying low, sometimes swooping just above their vehicle. It seemed to play with them, never attacking, yet never allowing them to escape its gaze. Eventually, shaken and breathless, they reached the safety of town and reported what they had seen. By the next day, the story had made the local newspaper. The press, struggling to find words for the creature, settled on a nickname borrowed from comic books. The Mothman. Being name stuck, and with it began a wave of hysteria that would sweep through the community for over a year. The Scarberrys and the Millettes were not alone. Soon, others came forward with their own accounts. Some claimed they had seen a gigantic bird flying across the sky. Others swore it was a man with wings. Many spoke of the same haunting detail, glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce the soul. Within weeks, Point Pleasant was consumed by rumors, and sightings poured in almost daily. People claimed to see the Mothman perched atop buildings, standing in fields, or emerging from the shadows of the TNT area. Some motorists reported it chasing their cars down lonely country roads, much as it had chased the Scarberrys. The TNT plant itself became the focal point of the search. The abandoned facility, a maze of underground bunkers and concrete igloos, offered endless hiding places for a creature. Armed groups of men scoured the area with rifles and flashlights, determined to capture or kill what they believed to be a monster. Yet, despite the growing number of sightings, no one ever managed to catch the Mothman. Every search ended in frustration, leaving only more questions than answers. To understand the fever-gripping Point Pleasant, one must also consider the times. It was the mid-1960s, a period of Cold War anxiety. The shadow of nuclear war hung over America, and the skies themselves seemed full of mystery. Reports of unidentified flying objects were appearing across the country. Many wondered if the Mothman was not some mutant creature at all, but rather an alien being, perhaps linked to the lights that people occasionally reported flickering in the skies above West Virginia. The TNT plant, once a hub of wartime production, was rumored to be tainted with dangerous chemicals. Some speculated the creature was a mutated animal born from toxic waste, a living byproduct of human industry and war. As weeks turned into months, the story of the Mothman expanded beyond Point Pleasant. Newspapers across the region covered the tale, and curiosity seekers drove into town hoping for a glimpse of the monster. The locals found themselves both fearful and fascinated, living in a place where legend walked alongside daily life. Children whispered about it in schoolyards, while adults debated in diners whether the stories were real or just hysteria. But the accounts were difficult to ignore. One respected woman described seeing the figure standing in her yard. Another driver recounted swerving off the road when two burning red eyes appeared directly ahead of him in the darkness. The fear in these testimonies was palpable, even if the explanations were uncertain. Then came the phone calls. Witnesses who had spoken to freely reported receiving strange, menacing calls at night. The voices on the other end were distorted, metallic, sometimes little more than static. But the message was always the same: stop talking. Some said black cars with mysterious men in suits began appearing around town, intimidating those who had seen the creature. These so-called men in black added yet another layer of paranoia. Were government agents trying to suppress the truth? Or were these figures themselves part of the phenomenon? Through it all, the Mothman continued to appear. Some described it less as an aggressor than an observer, always watching but never attacking. A few even began to wonder if it was a harbinger, not a monster, but a messenger of coming doom. That doom arrived on December 15th, 1967. On that cold winter evening, the Silver Bridge, which connected Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, was filled with rush-hour traffic. Shoppers and workers were heading home across the suspension bridge that had served the town since 1928. Without warning, the structure gave way. Chains snapped, steel groaned, and in a matter of seconds, cars plunged into the icy waters of the Ohio River below. 46 lives were lost in one of the worst bridge disasters in American history. The town was plunged into mourning. Families wept, survivors struggled to comprehend the horror, and investigators searched for answers. Official reports would later blame a faulty eye-bar in the suspension chain for the collapse. Yet, for many in Point Pleasant, the explanation did not erase what they believed they had seen. In the days leading up to the disaster, several witnesses swore the Mothman had been spotted near the bridge, perched upon its beams or gliding silently overhead. To them, the connection was undeniable. The creature had either warned them or caused the tragedy itself. And just as suddenly, as it had appeared. The Mothman was gone. After the Silver Bridge collapse, reports of sightings dwindled to almost nothing. It was as though the creature's purpose had been fulfilled. In the aftermath, journalist John Keel arrived in Point Pleasant to investigate the phenomenon. He interviewed dozens of witnesses, collected accounts of strange phone calls, lights in the sky, and paranormal disturbances. His work culminated in the book The Mothman Prophecies, which tied the creature to a larger web of unexplained events. Keel suggested that Point Pleasant had been a hotspot for otherworldly activity, a place where reality itself seemed to break down. His book, though controversial, ensured that the Mothman legend would not fade into obscurity. Skeptics have long argued that the sightings were misidentifications of large birds, such as sandhill cranes or owls, their eyes glowing red in car headlights. Others believe mass hysteria, fueled by Cold War tensions and local superstition, created a collective illusion. Still others suggest that the Mothman is best understood not as a literal creature, but as a symbol, a cultural expression of fear and uncertainty during a turbulent time in American history. Yet, for many, the testimony of ordinary citizens, farmers, housewives, police officers, and children cannot be dismissed so easily. Too many saw the same thing. Too many were left trembling in fear of the same dark figure with wings and glowing red eyes. Decades have passed, but the legend has only grown stronger. Today, Point Pleasant embraces its most famous mystery. Each September, thousands gather for the annual Mothman Festival, celebrating with costumes, lectures, and music. A 12-foot stainless steel statue of the creature stands in the town square, its wings spread wide, its eyes gleaming. The Mothman Museum preserves the original newspaper clippings, photographs, and eyewitness sketches, allowing visitors to relive the hysteria of 1966 and 1967. What was once a source of fear has become a source of pride, a story that unites the town with the wider world. Yet beneath the laughter and the festivities, there remains a lingering unease. For the people of Point Pleasant, the memory of the Silver Bridge collapse cannot be separated from the story of the Mothman. The creature is not just a mascot, it is a reminder of tragedy, of lives lost, and of mysteries never solved. The legend of the Mothman endures because it embodies so many possibilities. Was it a cryptid, an undiscovered species hiding in the shadows of Appalachia? Was it a supernatural omen, a messenger of death and disaster? Was it an alien, a visitor from beyond our world? Or was it the creation of human fear, born from stress, rumor, and imagination during uncertain times? Perhaps the truth lies not in one explanation, but in the power of stories themselves. The Mothman has become more than a creature. It is a symbol, a myth woven into the identity of a town and into the folklore of America. It reminds us that even in the most ordinary places, the extraordinary may reveal itself. It reminds us of the fragility of human life, the unpredictability of fate, and the possibility that we are not alone in the universe. And so, The Mothman of Point Pleasant continues to spread his wings across generations. Parents tell their children the tale. Travelers come from around the world to stand where the legend was born. Writers, filmmakers, and artists continue to draw inspiration from the haunting figure that once stalked the skies of West Virginia. In the end, whether one believes in the creature or not, the Mothman story achieves something greater than explanation. It keeps alive the sense of wonder and fear, the sense that the world holds secrets just beyond the edge of our vision. If you stand on the riverbank in Point Pleasant at night, gazing across the dark waters where the Silver Bridge once stood, you may feel it too. That quiet shiver down your spine, that flicker of doubt, that whisper of wings in the distance. And you may wonder, as countless others have before you, whether the Mothman is still out there, waiting for the next chapter of his prophecy to unfold.